Welcome everyone back to another episode of How an Artist Pictures Mental Disorders. Today we will be tackling the two bipolar disorders. Now these are actually really interesting, but before we can start out we first have to look at the three building stones that make up the two bipolar disorder classifications. They are three different types of mood episodes, which in itself are not actually a diagnosis, but are essential parts for diagnosing bipolar disorders. As usual, again a short disclaimer, this video is only intended for informational and entertainment purposes and cannot be used for diagnosis or treatment. The information presented is gathered to the best of my knowledge. If you feel like you need help concerning mental health, please talk to a licensed therapist or a mental health professional in your area. Also, if you're easily triggered by this topic, this video is probably not for you. The following are the three types of mood episodes. The first one we will have a look at is major depressive episode. It is characterized by a lower quality of mood than normal. This bad feeling should occur for most of the day, almost every day for at least 2 weeks. It can be accompanied by changes in appetite and weight. Sometimes sleep is impaired, or cases of fatigue, which is a loss of energy, or even psychomotor retardation, which is changes in speech or movement speed can be observed. Other possible symptoms are agitation, low self-esteem or guilt, thoughts of death or suicide, and this can go even as far as concrete plans or attempts. But this episode can take individual forms too, so one has to be really careful when assessing. Impairment in work or school, social life and or other areas of functioning is also required here. The second type is the manic episode. The core characteristic is an euphoric, strongly driven and irritable quality of mood for a minimum of 1 week. An additional symptom is heightened self-esteem that can even get delusional, which appears to be mood congruent. People in this episode may be rested on as little sleep as 4 hours. The heightened activity can at first be goal-oriented but can get unorganized due to a loss of judgment over the course of the episode. Some people can exhibit rapid and pressed speech as if there were too much ideas for the sentence. They can also be easily distracted by irrelevant cues. Most will deny illness, and at this point, the manic episode is typically accompanied by huge impairments in the life of patients and most people around. The third episode we want to differentiate is hypomanic episode. It could be called the little brother of the manic episode. Patients have mostly the same symptoms as in manic episode, only less strong. The required duration is every day for a minimum of 4 days. The impairment of the patient's life is recognizable, but it's less drastic than in manic episode. Now that we have laid the groundwork, let's have a look at the actual diagnosis criteria of the bipolar disorders. We will start out with bipolar 1 disorder. This diagnosis entails any cyclic mood disorder with at least one manic episode and spontaneous depressions, manias, and hypomanias. It has to consist of at least one manic episode, plus any number of hypomanic and major depressive episodes. This disorder was formerly called the manic depressive illness, and it affects around 1% of adult population. A new episode is recognized when either a change in polarity occurs, for example from manic to depressive episode, or a month of normal mood occurs. It is important to check that the symptoms are not treatment-induced. For example, antidepressives can cause mood switches. The bipolar disorder will be subcategorized by which polarization was last. For example, we can have a bipolar 1 disorder with a current depressive episode. There can also be many manic episodes before the first depressive episode even occurs, as an episode change doesn't necessarily mean a polarity switch. As always, one should check for substance involvement or psychotic disorders as alternative explanations. Next up, we will have a look at bipolar 2 disorder. This one consists of at least one of each of a major depressive episode and a hypomanic episode, but there are no manic episodes ever. It could be, for example, recurrent major depressive episodes interspersed with hypomanic episodes. One could say it is similar to bipolar 1 disorder, but not so severe. Though when left untreated, it can develop into a bipolar 1 disorder through the development of manic episodes. As you can see, I decided to depict bipolar disorder as a circle. On the left side, I gathered some of the most used symbols for depression, representing the depressive episodes of the disorder. The color scheme is also pretty dark to convey the lower quality of mood. The semicolon stems from Project Semicolon, a non-profit organization started by mental health advocate Amy Boyle in 2013. It represents that one's story isn't over because of the mental illness, but merely a break. The anchor also serves as a sign of hope, that the person struggling and fighting can still find a sense of anchoring in their life. The skies and the skull have a strong connection to death, representing the reoccurring thoughts of death. I added No Face from Studio Ghibli's Chihiro simply because I like him a lot and he fitted the color scheme, but he has no further symbolic meaning. On the left, I portrayed the manic side with some random colorful representations of energy. Maybe you can match some of the symbols to the symptoms mentioned? If so, tell me in the comments. The money represents excessive spending, which can be part of the impulsivity of any manic disorder. I also added Totoro from Studio Ghibli's My Neighbor Totoro, again because I like him so much and he seemed to fit to the colorful part. I filled the middle with the half moon to fill the background and give the piece even more contrast. The half moon also represents depression, as the illuminated half symbolizes the brighter side of the person and the dark side of the moon, the struggle and the battle against depression. I enjoyed the comic style. I tried to get inspired by Gork's art style, but it's hard to come up with that much symbols, so I turned out less crowded than his. I still like it, it was a dip into a new direction and I enjoyed that a lot. I hope you enjoyed the video. Leave a comment whether you liked the new style of the piece. Now for those who made it this far in the video, a short announcement. The shirt I'm currently wearing and the shirt from earlier in the video are available on my Spreadshirt site, and I will also add today's design. So if you like the designs, go check them out, maybe you find something you like. Apart from that, have a great day and peace out.